Morning, guys. Welcome to my first live here in the VIP group. We're going to make life beautiful with some cards this morning. First, I'm going to duck off camera for just a minute because I need to set something else up so that I have some visual. So you can look at my patio door for a second. I'm still here. I'm just getting this opened up in the background so that I can check on, make sure that everything is being seen okay. And it looks like we've got a little bit of a lag, which I'm not surprised. All right, let's see how long it takes me to come back into the other screen over there. So far, I'm not there. Technical difficulties right off the bat. Yay! Come on, Facebook. Hello, Jen. I just saw you join. I'm over here. I have quite the lag. Okay. Well, let me swivel us back around to where we're going to be. How are you this morning? Did you bring your morning bevy? Yes, the lag is, it just sucks. Yeah, on my screen in the background, I just swiveled the camera around, so that's what, like 30 seconds? And sometimes it skips and it catches up, so that's kind of weird too. Cheers. All right, you guys, so ignore everything in the background. Because, yeah, it's still a farm and it's still a farmhouse, and I have farm stuff sitting around. We're going to make some cards this morning, and I am so excited to share this with you. And, yeah, I keep glancing at the lag in the background. It's going to drive me crazy. But once I get started and flip this down, then I'm not going to see it so much. Welcome to my launch. Welcome to the new VIP group. Katie and I are really excited to share this with you. We created this group so that you guys will have a bigger experience, and I hope we deliver for you. All right, I am going to turn the camera down and then do some other little technical adjustments, so you might see things get kind of weird, feel like you're on a carnival ride, because we're going to be flipping a screen. Because, you know, Facebook doesn't make anything easy. Why would that happen? So, give me just a second here. And I did have this all set up, and now I've got to go punch my buttons again, because you lose them when you go live. There we go, I think. Wait for my lag to catch up. All right, in the background, I'm swiveling the camera. Wow, yeah, that's about 30 seconds. And I have a new camera mount that's coming too that's going to make this so much easier. There we go. Ta-da. Moving. These are the cards we're going to make today. And Kitty does not need to be in the middle. Scoot, Bling. Scoot, 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 scoot. Down. Get down. She's very sassy. So I apologize when you hear Sassy Kitty in the background. Trying to scooch this so you guys, it's a little straighter. I can work on a slant, but it's easier if you're not looking at it on a slant. Just remember this is my first one and it'll get better from here. Woohoo! So the stamp sets that I am using this morning, I'm actually using one set and I absolutely love, love, love this set. It's called Lovely You. Let me get it so that you can see it. This has some really beautiful sentiments. It's got some really fun little flower elements here. And that is what we're going to be stamping with. A couple of other ones that I really love. The first one is this Ornate Thanks. This has so many really cool sentiments on it too, and we're going to be using this for a future project. And also here's a card. So these are like my 3 absolute favorite sentiment sets. I'm going to move this so that we can have a little space here. The first card that we're going to be doing is Wildly Grateful. And the colors that we're going to be using this morning are Bumblebee, Balmy Blue, and Petal Pink. So the first thing that we're going to do, of course, is to cut our card bases. We're using Whisper White cardstock and the paper trimmer. You guys, I absolutely adore our paper trimmer. This arm will swing out to 17 inches. So you can do big paper with it. I can cut my seed paper on this thing. It's really powerful. And we're going to cut our 8.5 by 11 cardstock to 5.5 inches. My video is catching up with me in the background there. And we're going to cut 2 sheets of this because we want 4 cards. Katie, good morning. How are you feeling, love? Our paper trimmer has two little knobs on it. You'll see this is the cutting edge here. This has a sharp blade on it. This is for scoring, and we're going to use it next. So we want to score our cards at 4 1/4, but then we're going to scooch it over just a bit, and I'm going to show you why that is. Just trust me for a minute. We're just going to do it, and then I will show you why. And then we're going to score, score, score. And you can see this beautiful scored line here. That's where our card's going to fold. So I'm going to do that for each one. 4 1/4, and then just a scooch to the right. All right, so we have our card bases there. And we're also going to cut an 1¼ inch strip of our Balmy Blue and our Bumblebee. Our cardstock is so amazing. It is really super smooth and it's solid core. So when you cut this, you're not going to find nasty white edges. Alright, there's what we need for that card. Now we're going to punch out this little shape here. And we're going to use the Label Me Fancy punch for this. And I'm going to refer back to this punch quite a bit over the next couple of days. It's got some elements in it that I really love. All of our punches clip together so that you can stand them up when you're not using them. And then you can also see what the design is on them. If you have a bunch, you can keep them all in a row, which is pretty cool. So you'll see on the front, it shows you the size of what you're going to be punching, and the other elements that I really love on this punch, besides the super cute label tag that it makes, is this tiny little hole here, and also this little ribbon bar hole. And we're going to be using both of those in the days to come. And you guys, there's a lot of stuff going on over in my not in the VIP group, in the launch party group. So if you are joining me here in the VIP group, make sure that you pop on over and join us in the launch party group too, so you can see more stuff in the days to come. All right, so we're going to punch one little tag out of our Bumblebee, and also one out of our Balmy Blue. And the Balmy Blue we are going to stamp with our Balmy Blue ink because I love tone on tone. Isn't it pretty the way that it looks? It's just very soft. The Lovely You set is our red rubber cling. And these are so detailed and the images are very, very crisp. And we're going to use Wildly Grateful. And you're kind of going to have to read them backwards. On the other side, of course, and I stick them on the stamp case so that I can read them, but I didn't do that this time. I'm getting used to reading everything backwards. And we're going to grab a stamp block. So the stamp blocks for Stampin' Up, these things are amazing. I mean, you can use a clear stamp block from anywhere. Stamp blocks they all do their job, but these have a channel groove on the side so that you can hold them and you've got more grip. And you see our clings just hold there. Yeah, so you can position them using the channel block and you're not worrying about it slipping out of your fingers. We're going to use our Balmy Blue ink. It's like a compact, flips open, slides. And then we're just going to line it up. Now I kind of like the way that it looks with this one is just a tiny, tiny bit wider than the label. And so it looks like the sentiment is swooping in from one side and swooping off the other side. And we'll get our ink closed back up here. going to set those aside for just a moment. Now we're going to cut a piece of our Whisper White cardstock that is just slightly smaller than our card base. And if you need to measure, go ahead and do that. This is 5.5 by 4.25. So we're going to cut this at about 5.25 by 4. Good morning, Sherelle. How are you doing? Oh, and you guys, I have the hardest time throwing away scraps. I just have to tell you that right up front. I sent Jen a picture a couple days ago, and it's like, what do you call this stuff? And it's like, I sent her a little picture of a pile of kind of scrappy stuff. And she's like, trash. So, it's hard for me. All right, so we're gonna put this stamp away. And what I did off camera here, this is my Stampin' Scrub. I love this. Use it with our Stampin' Mist, which is a cleaner and conditioner. And so I keep one side wet, one side dry. Both sides do have kitty fuzz, so this is for cleaning, this is for drying, and then this can go back into our set. And next we're going to come in and grab this cute little flower here. And we're going to use Bumblebee. Now, I do not have a Bumblebee ink pad right now, so we're going to use the Stampin' Right marker. It works great. Yes, free fur, that's right, it's everywhere. And what we're gonna do is just color our stamp. Now, there's a trick to using markers. And we're going to use markers more in a couple days when we stamp some Tula 12 inserts. Larger stamps that are more complicated than this, and sometimes your ink will dry a little bit. And what you do is just hold it up to your mouth and breathe on it, seriously. And it's going to reconstitute your ink. So I'm going to do that. You'll probably hear it. And then we're just going to start stamping our images. And we want to fill this card up with a little field of flowers here. And they don't have to stay completely on the card. That's what our pad here is for. Our Stampin' Right markers have two ends to them too. One is a 1/2 mil tip that you can write with. The other one is a brush tip, and that's the one that we're using, is the brush tip. And we're just inking and stamping. And I'm trying to catch and look at the comments as we do this too, because I don't want to miss anything. Yes, I absolutely adore the markers. The markers are actually what I got first. And I have to be honest, I just bought the whole big set of Marvelous markers because I knew I was going to love them, and I do. They are very versatile. All right, put one more of those there. So let's clean that one off, put it back. Now we're going to come in here with a couple of smaller elements, and you're going to get to see another reason why I really, really, really love these markers. Because you do not have to stamp the entire image. You can pick and choose what you want. So right now we just want this little bud right here. So that's the only part we're going to color. And we're just going to put some of those around. Of course, if you're using the stamp pad, there are some other techniques that I will show you in the future as far as masking and doing things, but this is a great thing about the markers. All right, let's put a couple of the tiny ones in there too. There, they kind of look like they're floating on the wind. All right, so we're going to put that aside for just a moment, and we're going to connect our, it's like a shadow. So we've got our sentiment, and then we've got a little bit of a shadowy bit on the background. We're just going to offset them a tiny bit. And to put these together, you can use the adhesive of your choice. You can glue them. You can use our glue dots, which is what we're going to use right now. So these come on a spool. They have tiny little dots of glue. And you just stick them on there, pull it back off. Glue dots. Can also use our Stampin' Seal. This is a tape runner, and these are really nice tape runners. Just gonna get that lined up there. All right, now let's tie a pretty ribbon around this, because we're going to have this here, and then we'll do a little ribbon around everything. I am using, this is our Whisper White. It's a crinkled seam binding ribbon. It's kind of like a silk ribbon. It's really, really pretty. But we don't want white. So I have pre-dyed a couple of strips of ribbon. It takes about 10 minutes to dye, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But for right now, I have gone ahead and pre-dyed one for us. So we'll get this card built, and then we'll go over how to dye ribbon real quick. And we're just going to tie a bow. And there is a really cool little tool that I am going to be getting so I can show you guys. I know Jen has one. She knows what I'm talking about. They are reverse tweezers. And those things are super cool. It's like having an extra hand, which is really what you need when you're trying to tie a bow. So those will be coming in the near future. But for today, we're just going to do it old-fashioned way. All right, and there you can see we've got, you know, our pretty mottled ribbon. And then we're going to put our sentiment on here. And to do that, we're going to use some dimensionals. I love, love, love dimensionals. Let's use full-size ones, will be fine. Our dimensionals come in full size. These are 3/8 inch. They also come in mini. These are 1/4 inch. And then if you're doing a dark card and you don't want this white showing up on your dark card, we have black ones too, which are totally awesome. So this is just going to give us a tiny little bit of lift. They're double-sided foam adhesive. I'm going to peel that off. And let's just nestle that in there, like so. All right, the next thing we're going to do, okay, these are paper snips. Love, love, love these. They are very, very sharp. They have amazing little points. And as soon as you get your first pair, you're going to want a second pair just for ribbon. That's what the little denotation there is. These are ribbon only. And that way you can come in and make these nice little snips, kind of finish off your ribbon ends. Because it does get a little bit frayed on the end from the dyeing process. So we want to have that be pretty. Here we go. Now we're going to mount that on our card base. And I'm going to try to clean it up as I go, because I have a tendency to have things all over the place, as you can see. All right, here's our card base. And remember, we scooched this over just a tiny bit when we made our score. And then we're going to fold that. This is our bone folder. It helps you get that nice crisp edge there. Now we scooch it over because it allows us, let's look at it from the back. See, it's offset just a tiny bit, and this allows the recipient to open their card and see what you wrote inside. And we're going to just mount this right here on the front. And let's use our Stampin' Seal for that. This tape is super sticky, you guys. So get it where you want it to go. All right. And there we go. There is our card number 1. So let's just chat a minute about dyeing ribbon, because we're going to use some dyed ribbon in another card as well. When I'm wrapping cards, it's about 18 inches to do that one over there. We're just going to cut a little piece here so that I can show you how to dye those. We're going to do it with our stamp pad. And then what I do to keep my fingers out of it is use the stylus end of our take a pick tool and just lay this on the ink pad. Get some ink on the ribbon. And then I keep one of the Stampin' Mist. It's a tiny little sprayer. These things are awesome. Stampin' Spritzer. I keep this with water in it. And then we're just going to give the ribbon a spritz. And you can see how it starts to watercolor and pool down. And it will dry mottled, which is awesome because it gives it that kind of antique-y look. All right, so I'm going to go put my ribbon somewhere where it can dry. Well, I can just put it right there. That's good. Close our ink pad back up. And it only takes about 10 minutes to dry the hand-dyed ribbon. So the next card we're going to do is our Just Because, and this one is going to have some multicolored flowers in the background. And we're going to go ahead and cut a 1-inch strip of our bumblebee to use for our sentiment tag. So let's just use the one that we were already working with, and we'll just trim it down. So here's another thing I really love about this paper trimmer, is that it has this guard that will hold even small things so that you can still cut them. See, these little strips like this, I have a horrible time throwing away because it's like, I could use that for something. And that's what Jen told me. Nope, that's trash. Thanks, Jen. Thank you for being my voice of reason. Oh, and let's see, we also need to cut that one at about 4 inches. See, there I go. Putting it back over there. Nope, goes in the trash. All right, now we need our Just Because. And this is our stamp block B. I think the D block is the one that I end up using most. It is a super versatile size for me. And we're going to color with our marker because we're doing tone on tone again. And then we want to put this one just slightly off center. There we go. Because we're going to flag one end of this. Now there is a punch that will flag, but I'm going to show you how to do it with your paper snips in case you don't have the punch, like I don't have the punch. So we're just going to go in from the corner at about a 45-degree angle to the center. And then same on the other side. So flagging is super simple. It's not going to be as immaculately precise as if you used the punch. But when you don't have the punch, you make do. All right, so there's our Just Because. Now we're also going to need about 1.5 inches by 2 of our Balmy Blue. Abby, hi. Sorry, I'm just looking up at the comments to see who's come in. Lenora, welcome you guys. You haven't stamped since junior high? Well, this is awesome. We're on this journey together now. Another journey together. I'm so excited. And then we also need a little 3x3 piece of our Whisper White. All right, so we're going to stamp a little floral on this one, and we're going to stamp some flowers on the Whisper White. So let's grab our little flower, and we're going to do tone on tone with the Balmy Blue for this one too. I love tone on tone. You guys like tone on tone? What do you think? All right, now for the little flowers here, we're going to use the same technique that we did with the bumblebee marker. So we're going to put the ink pad away for just a moment and grab our Balmy Blue marker, because we really only want the center part right here. Make sure that it's stuck down. We just want these three right there. And we're just going to stamp a few of them around. Sorry, I keep shaking the camera. I keep bumping into it. I should take my sunglasses off. They're just perched on top of my head from being outside this morning. All right, now I won't be bumping the camera. And then the next one we're going to use is this cute little posy. And for that one, we're going to grab our, what do you want to do that one in? Let's do Blushing Bride for that one. Now we're just going to stamp some little flowers here and there. You can, if this happens, remember you have two sides to this paper. So we're just going to flip it over, and first I'm going to clean that off. I have trimmed some of these stamps down too. If they start giving me regularly a little edge like that, I do trim them just a little bit to kind of bevel it and keep that from happening. Kind of turn this a little bit so our flowers aren't all facing the same direction. And some of these are going to get covered up. We already know that in advance, but this will, they'll peek out in places. Let's put one up there in the corner. Now we're going to go back in with our blue real quick here. up here. Just feel like I need something. Maybe like so. Yeah. And you guys feel free to remind me to close your ink pad. I don't know why that is so hard for me sometimes. All right, so assembling this, we're going to, this one here, give it a little bit of an offset. And just because, we'll come in here like so. And let's put some dimensionals on this one to pop that sentiment up. And then we're going to wrap it with some linen thread, which is really cute. It kind of adds just a little bit of a homey touch. So we're going to use some glue dots to stick down our little flower. And then we're going to come in with our dimensionals, which I put over here. Now this one's a little bit longer than our last one, so I'm going to put one in the middle so we don't have that sagginess, because we don't want our pretty card to sag. And you could even like put 2 minis here on the flag end, but I think this is going to be okay. All right, and we're going to stick that down last. It's going to go like that. So we're just going to set it aside for just a moment and grab our linen thread, which comes in a spool like this. And it's very, very curly, you guys. But I found a way to get it to straighten out. See how curly that is? So how I straighten it out is just the same way that I straighten out yarn when I spin it, and that is to spin it in the opposite direction until it looks like it's about ready to separate into the individual fibers. But that's going to relax that memory just enough to make it behave. See? All nice and straight now. And we're also going to do that on this end so that the whole thing is straight. There we go. Makes it a little more pliable too. It's not as stiff as it was. Then we're just going to tie that around here and another little bow. Now this twine does have a tendency to want to loosen up as you tie your bow, as you can see. But what you can do on the back side is just give it a little pinch and then put a little dot of glue there. So we'll deal with that in just a minute. Let's grab another one of our card bases. Make this one go this way. All right, so let's go back to our Stampin' Seal. And we may be able to, let's put some, there we go. Tighten it up with the Stampin' Seal. Yay! All right, about right there. Does that look good? Oh, Katie, thank you. I'm just having fun crafting. All right, now we're going to put our little sentiment on here. I'll just pull our bow down a tiny bit. And I'm kind of going to line that up so that it overlaps our flower. And then give those dimensionals just a slight touch. Now we can trim up our little linen thread. Decide how big of a bow we want on there. And you can even untie this just a little bit to give it a little bit of a frayed look. Kind of, makes it really homey and sweet. All right, and there's the second card in our set. What do you guys think? The third one we're going to do this morning is Miles Apart But Still in My Heart. And we're going to, and we've got some dyed ribbon there, a little different color. This is in the Blushing Bride. Is that right? No, it's Petal Pink. This one is Petal Pink. And then we've got our Bumblebee, our Balmy Blue, and then we're going to do this beautiful background with multicolored stamps. And I'm going to show you how to stamp off some of your ink so that that is not as dark. First we need another little backer here, so let's cut that out of our super white cardstock. And we'll do another 5 1/4 by 4. Put your blade up before you cut. Don't be like me. So here's what we're going to stamp on. And we're going to start from lightest color and work to the darkest color. So in our light, we're going to use our gray granite. And I'm going to show you another reason why I really love having these pads underneath to work on. Because we're going to stamp our image, and then we're going to stamp one on the background, and then immediately stamp one on the card. See the difference between the colors there? And you could actually stamp off a third one that would be super pale. So, ink, stamp it off, put it on our card. And we're going to cover that up in a minute, so it's okay. close this one back up, and then let's move on to our pink. And we're going to use the little bud for our pink. We're going to use the whole bud this time, not just the top of it. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to ink it, stamp it off, so that we have this like whisper color. What are you guys thinking so far? Let's do our blue next. Blue and this cute little leaf. And again with our blue, we're going to ink and then stamp that off because it's really bright and we just want this to be a lot more subtle. And you can overlap them, just wherever you think it needs to be filled in, that's where we go. And one up there coming off the edge. All right, our next color is the bumblebee with the little flower that we've been using. Let's go with our bigger block on that one. We're going to ink our flower. Now this one I did not stamp up, or I did not stamp it off on the pad because I want that bright pop of color. It's still summer. I still want happy. So we're going to put our bright color over it, let everything else slide into the background. Like so. And it kind of gives it like that old-fashioned wallpaper look. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this reminds me so much of like the wallpaper that was upstairs in my grandma's house when I would go spend time with her, and that's where I would always want to sleep, in the bedroom that was up there, because it had that cool old wallpaper that just had so many flowers. And I'd just sit there and look at it and get lost in it. Let's put that upside down. And one more. I like to put things in odd numbers, 3s and 5s. Even if we just have a little hint of one right there. Okay. So we're going to set that aside for a minute, and we're going to cut our sentiment bar and our accent piece. These are 1 inch each. Jen says good morning, Cole.
Morning.
You guys could hear him in the background, huh? All right, so the bumblebee one is, let's cut it at about 5 inches this way. And this one, let's take it down to about 4 1/4, 4 3/8 maybe. All right, now we get to use one of my favorite punches. This is the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. This is 6 punches worth of punch, you guys. Depending on whether you have 1/2 inch, 3/4, or 1 inch strips, you get different ends for your pieces. It is super, super cool. So I'm going to show you how awesome this is. For the bumblebee, let's do our ornate. I'm going to flip this over so that you can see it on the background here. And we're just going to punch each end. Okay, so now you can see if this was slightly narrower, you would get this top, and slightly narrower than that, you would get this one. So super versatile. It's like having 6 punches in one. I really think that this is like my absolute favorite punch. For the balmy blue, we're going to use the other side. We're going to use the, oh, I started to say the plain side. It's not really plain, but it's plainer than the first one. All right, so the blue is what we're going to stamp our sentiment on with this card. And this one will stand up. It's a little more precarious because it only has this much, but it still stands up. And for our sentiment on this one, we're going to use Rich Razzleberry. I know this is a little out of the color palette that we were using. That's okay. Everything does not have to be matchy-matchy. And for the miles apart, but still in my heart, which is this one, we're going to need, you can do one of 2 things. You can either turn this around on the diagonal, or you can use a longer, thinner stamp block. This is entirely up to you. I personally love this stamp block though. It's just the right size for my hands. All right, let me make sure that we... And we're going to center this one. There we go. And put my ink away. Yay, pop of color, yes. We love a good pop of color. All right, so we're going to do glue dots. Put these 2 together like so. And let's give it 3 dots. They are very sticky. Just stuck to my thumb. Come on. There we go. All right, so we're gonna just eyeball that into center. We're gonna set that aside for just a minute. Remember I told you that I dyed another piece of ribbon for us? Here we have this one. And see, you can see the variation in the colors. That gives it that antiqued look to go along with our kind of wallpapery flower background. And we're going to tie our bow on this one over here. So I kind of pulled my ribbon off to this side to accommodate that. And this ribbon, you guys, this ribbon ties bows so nicely. So much better than the linen twine, which I absolutely love. But yeah, I'm looking forward to those reverse tweezers. All right, so there's our cute bow. And let's grab our ribbon scissors and give it a nice end. Now to mount this on here, because we're gonna end up sliding this over a little bit more. Come on. There. We're gonna tuck this in here. This one is actually longer than the first one that I made. What are we gonna do with that? That's okay. We're going to tuck it in right like so. That'll be cute, don't you think? All right, so we're going to use our mini dimensionals on this one because we're going to straddle our ribbon just a little bit. And let's give this one some center support too. I like to give the longer sentiment bars some center support. All right, so let's line this up over here. It can go off the edge just a tiny bit because remember this is our card base is going to be behind that. So we can go off just a little bit. That'll be perfect, I think. Right, and let's grab our card base and our bone folder. Yeah, that's going to be just fine. It doesn't even come to the edge over there. Okay, so I'm going to just put this off the edge a little bit so that I can run my Stampin' Seal. There's kitty fuzz in my Stampin' Seal. Kitty fuzz everywhere in my house. And get this edge. And we probably should have stuck this down before we put the dimensionals on there, but we didn't, so we're just gonna make do. There you go. Because remember, there's not a lot of mistakes that you can make that you can't come back from. And there is our card. So here is what we've done this morning. We have this beautiful little note card trio that we put together while we were enjoying a cup of coffee. So what do you think, guys? Want to do this with me every week? All right. So it's a little after 9. I've held on to you for just a little more than an hour. I appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much for hanging out this morning, and I will see you back in the launch party. And if you're not already part of the launch party, come on over there and join us, because I have 3 more lives over the course of the next few days. We're going to make some more fun stuff. All right. Now I got to figure out how to swivel my phone around and turn the live off. All right, here we go. I'm upside down. Hello. And yep, now I have to back out through all of my buttons to get there. There we go. All right. See you guys.